Hi guys, welcome to week 13. We've got our last week of Illustrator. We only have 3 weeks after this. Things are going to move really quickly because only 3 weeks, and next week is kind of a holiday week. So everything is just going to fly by. We're going to wrap up Illustrator this week, which just leaves us with InDesign to tackle the last 3 weeks of class. I don't do a finals week. I just maximize our time and just make sure that we're just working in the software kind of the same way we have been. So we go all the way to the end of the term working in InDesign, and nothing will change. You'll have the same kind of quizzes that you've had throughout the term, the same types of projects, the same types of tutorials. So nothing's going to ramp up, and there's not going to be any sort of surprises. It's actually going to get, I think with the completion of your movie posters this week, it actually gets a little bit easier. And aside from InDesign being a little challenging in that it's way different than Illustrator and Photoshop, there's no project. So you're not going to be creating like that one kind of masterpiece for InDesign. You're going to be working with smaller things. So I think that'll be great, especially as we have that holiday week, like I said. So there's that. Today, I want to just, if anyone who didn't already have a chance would like feedback on their posters, I want to give you the opportunity to do that. Just throw your name in the chat. Other than that, it's going to be a last chance for Illustrator questions, Illustrator demos, and any just kind of questions. Let's keep these at the very end, but just any questions or concerns going into those last 3 weeks of term to make sure that we're addressing everything and nobody's getting left behind. You guys have all been doing fantastic with keeping up with the periodic deadlines and just going through your to-do list every week. So I'm not worried about any of you. I got a really cool thing in the mail that I was going to show you. I know early in the semester I showed you guys what is this? I showed you guys my design like journal and inspiration and just collecting things. And it's, we don't get to go out and do stuff and shop and go places as much anymore, but I do get stuff in the mail and it makes me super happy. And I got a magazine and it came in this envelope, which is just like a standard craft mail envelope. I think it's probably like I don't know what size this is, maybe like a 11 by 10 by 16 or something, but they printed on it and look how cool it is. It has a whole bunch of illustrations. And Morgan, this reminded me of your project.
Yeah, it gives me like nautical, and it gives me like flash sheet vibes a little bit.
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
all the like small little things kind of
Uh-huh.
thrown together. It's
Yeah,
cool.
but like a striking thing to get in the mail. I was pretty stoked on it. Yeah, it's your magazine, and then it's like, woohoo, cool. So that's been sitting in I don't want to put it away. I just want to like keep looking at it. So um, anyways, everybody is doing well on their movie posters. Everybody feels pretty good. I went through Monday, was that yesterday? And I tried to comment on everybody's who had turned something in to give you a little bit of feedback in case you needed some extra like words before you finalize your poster. So if you haven't noticed that, go and look. It's in the rubric part of your submission. I just put a few notes in for everybody, and that way you would have those before finalizing this week. But other than that, we could potentially have a really short class this week. If anyone wants feedback, wants to share their poster, let's do that now. And then if anyone has questions or wants to get a demo of anything in particular in Illustrator before we call it a day on Illustrator, now would be the time for that. Just in case anyone has to sign off, if you don't want to share your poster, if you're good on Illustrator and don't have any questions, you have my permission to go. I know you guys are overloaded. Like as for every student that I've talked to lately has just felt like there's a ton of work coming from all of their classes. So feel free to go and take care of that. But just really quick, I want to just double check that we are on for next week. I know it's a holiday week, and I mentioned a couple of weeks ago the idea of skipping our Zoom next week. Next week would be the start of InDesign, so it would be potentially an InDesign tour and just kind of commentary by me, but there is a really good video in the lecture. So if we want to skip it and we want to just kind of have the time next week, we can skip it, but I'm allowing you guys that are here to vote on whether or not you want to do a Zoom next week. So I'm not really sure how we should do this. You want to do a show of hands? Who wants to have Zoom next week? Use the little icon and throw it up on your thing and I'll count them. How about that? Will that work? Okay. So if you want to meet next week, go ahead and give me a thumbs up or a hand, and then I'm gonna count them. And then you guys keep changing. You keep changing your votes. I can't count them because they keep disappearing. I'm thinking there's 4 that want to.
They only stay on for a little bit.
For a minute? Okay, is that what it is? Okay. I think enough of you want to have class. We'll just do it as usual then. I'll go ahead and have a Zoom next week as usual. If you're not able to make it, it's totally fine. Make sure you watch the video. There's a video InDesign tour in the lecture, and it should give you the info you need. But next week's a holiday week, and I don't want to, make things more stressful than they already are. So fantastic. You guys are great. Now, does anyone want to share their poster who hasn't already had a chance to get feedback? We're all good? Awesome. And what about Illustrator questions, comments, anything that you would like me to demonstrate or tour around a bit before we say goodbye to Illustrator? Christina.
So in the gradient mesh activity, it said that you can also color the blocks, not just the dots, but I couldn't figure out how to do that.
Let's see, I'm gonna look at it right now. Color the blocks, not just.
Yeah, there's the lines and then the points where the lines intersect.
Right.
And then creates the boxes.
Right.
In the activity, it mentioned that you could color the boxes, not just the anchor points.
To add color to them. So you add color when you do. Okay, hold on. Let me find the assignment. Let's see here, gradient mesh. The gradient mesh is crazy. That's like one of the most interesting tools. It's really useful. I thought of it when Riley was showing us her poster last week where she used the blob brush for a lot of shading, but the gradient mesh tool for creating things that look dimensional or look like they have shading, it really is second to none. And I'm trying to see what you're talking about. Do you remember what step it is?
It was in the part talking about the mesh tool.
You mean in the video or in the assignment itself?
Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can pull it up.
Or
Sorry.
No. That's okay.
In the lecture.
In the lecture, okay. The assignment, let me see if I can find what you're talking about.
It says the area between any 4 mesh points is called the mesh patch. You can change the color of the patch using the same techniques, but I couldn't figure out how to do it.
Okay, let me look. I've got one open and I'm going to share my screen with you guys and see if we can make it do it. No guarantees. And then let me throw you guys up here. Can you guys all see my Illustrator donut? Does anyone else remember having this, running into this problem or tackling this? Whoa. I am going to, off the bat, change the color of this layer so that I can actually see the mesh, because it is so hard to see. Is that better? There we go. Okay, so here's my gradient mesh. Here's my gradient panel. I haven't worked on this in quite some time, but boy, it sure is. I think I have another one I wanted to open too. Let me grab it. I have one that has the donut and the banana in it. Where is it? Sierra College 62 mesh. There we go. Okay, can you guys see a donut right now? A different donut? Yeah, okay, cool. So you're talking about changing the color of the options for the gradient. Oops. The inside, in between this like empty space right here, right, Christina? Okay. Your guess is as good as mine at that one. Let me see what we got here. So if I just click in the middle, it just wants to keep adding points. But what happens if we want to change the colors? And we can move them as much as we want. I wonder what happens if, I wonder if it's only if you select all 4 of them in order to like complete a, that doesn't really work either, huh? I have no idea, Christina.
Okay, then I don't
And
feel as bad. Thank you.
it doesn't really make sense to me either, because how, if you did color a square within, wouldn't that, oh there, I did it. Wouldn't it, I was afraid it wasn't going to, that it wasn't going to make it gradient, that it was just going to be like a square shape. So I just used the selection tool to select the anchor points that I wanted to fill. So it kind of completed the shape. Let me go to a lighter portion. So instead of using the gradient mesh tool, I grabbed my direct select tool, which is the white arrow. And then I just shift selected the anchor points that I wanted to fill with a different color so that I could fill that patch. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, I've never done it that way, but that would be a way to do it that would be a lot faster if you were trying to colorize like a whole section, you know, because it automatically adds this grid, this mesh, which is geometrical, and it fills the whole space. So instead of having to go point by point, you could block off like a real big, you know, section to fill with a different color. So that does make sense.
Okay.
So direct select tool, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I read that in the lecture and I just couldn't figure out how to do it.
Yeah, sorry that wasn't readily available on my skill level. It wasn't something that I'd done before. Did you guys check out the Behance gradient mesh examples that I posted? Boy, the people are so talented, and it is a tedious tool to work with and a tedious skill to master. So it blows my mind that they can make photorealistic illustrations with just, you know, how they can see it, because I can barely do a donut. All right, does anyone else have any questions? Anything you want to play around with in Illustrator with me? If not, I'm going to let you all go. It's going to be probably our second shortest class of the term. Let you guys finish your movie posters. I want to see strong stuff, even though everything I've been seeing so far has been very strong. Those are due Sunday, and then we're going to get into InDesign. We're going to kind of leave Illustrator and Photoshop behind and get into InDesign, and it's going to go quick, and then we're going to be done. So I'm going to stick around in case anyone has term, semester, class related questions. And then otherwise, you guys are free to go and have a great week. If I don't see you next week for our Zoom, have a wonderful holiday. I hope you guys aren't so busy that you can't take a bit of time for some peace and quiet. So thank you guys.